Welcome to the Adventures of the Monad. In the series on the emotional envelope, we discussed how an individual's thoughts can create effects on their emotional body. For example, when a person experiences strong devotional feelings, it draws a significant amount of emotional matter around them and influences both their mental and emotional worlds. A developed person becomes the center of devotional waves that can influence others, impacting their thoughts and feelings. Similar effects occur with feelings of affection, anger, depression, and other emotions. Another example is the exchange of thoughts between a lecturer and their audience. The lecturer's thoughts can stimulate a sympathetic response in the mental bodies of the audience, allowing them to understand the speaker's message at that moment. However, once the lecture ends, they may struggle to recapture that understanding without the influence of the speaker's thoughts. The process of critical thought creates an opposing rate of vibration, disrupting the flow of information and causing confusion. It is often said that witnessing this effect is a memorable learning experience. When reading a book, a person's thoughts may connect with the author, even if the author is in a different state of being, such as sleep or after death. This connection can result in the author's influence enveloping the reader as strongly as if they were physically present. Similarly, the thoughts of the reader may also attract the thoughts of other individuals who have studied the same subject. A prime example of how the thoughts of a deceased person can impact the living is when an executed person, such as a murderer, seeks revenge by inciting others to commit similar crimes. This phenomenon could explain the occurrence of cycles of similar murders within communities from time to time. The influence of thoughts on children is particularly significant. Just as a child's physical body is malleable and easily shaped, so is their emotional and mental well-being. A child's mind absorbs the thoughts of others just like a sponge draws in water. Although the child may not be able to express these thoughts at a young age, they can influence the child's development over time. Therefore, it is crucial for a child to be surrounded by a noble and selfless environment rather than TikTok videos. It is a disturbing sight for a clairvoyant to witness the beautiful white aura and souls of children becoming tarnished and darkened within a few years due to the impure and selfish thoughts of the adults around them. Only the clairvoyant knows how much and how quickly the characters of children would improve if the characters of the adults were better. While it is never right to try to control someone else's thoughts and will, it is always right to focus on people's positive qualities, thus reinforcing those good qualities. Conversely, dwelling on a person's flaws or negative qualities only serves to strengthen those undesirable tendencies or even create negative qualities that were previously latent or non-existent. For example, suppose a group of people who engaged in gossip and scandal accuse someone of being jealous. In that case, it is obvious that this will greatly intensify any existing tendency towards jealousy in the victim. Even if the accused person is completely free from jealousy, those who think and talk about the imagined fault are actively working to create the very vice they so cruelly gloat over. The damaging effects of gossip and scandal are immeasurable, as highlighted in At the Feet of the Master. A true occultist's criticism focuses on finding the positive aspects, much like eagerly seeking a pearl, rather than pouncing on flaws as modern criticism often does. The ability, or rather inevitability, to influence others positively or negatively through thought power provides a tremendous tool for anyone who chooses to use it. Thought forms, or emotional mental images, which are associated with emotions and feelings, play a significant role in creating karmic connections with other people. For instance, if someone sends out a thought of deep hatred and revenge and it leads another person to commit murder, the person who created that thought becomes karmically linked to the perpetrator, even if they have never met in person. Ignorance or lack of memory doesn't exempt anyone from karmic law, and individuals will experience the consequences of their thoughts, emotions, and physical actions. Think of all the bile that is spouted on social media today, and some of the tragic consequences. The lords of karma must be running out of ink in their pens in their effort to tally up the karma being created. The thoughts and mental images that a person creates can significantly influence their future environment. These thoughts form the connections that bring people together for better or for worse in their later lives. They shape our relationships, friends, and enemies, and bring into our lives individuals who may support or hinder us, love us without any apparent reason, or hate us despite our innocence in this life. Therefore, our thoughts not only shape our mental and moral character, but also impact the kind of people we will be associated with in the future through our influences on others. It is possible to protect oneself from external thought forms to a great extent by creating a protective barrier made of the substance of the aura. Mental matter, as we have seen, is highly responsive to thought and can be easily shaped as desired. The same applies to emotional matter, as discussed in the previous series. However, relying solely on a protective barrier can be seen as a sign of weakness. The best protection is a radiant goodwill and purity that will naturally repel anything negative through a powerful outpouring of love. There are specific situations in which using a mental shell may be necessary. 1. When entering a crowded and noisy environment. 2. During meditation. 3. When falling asleep. And 4. In special conditions where unwanted thoughts are likely to intrude. I will cover meditation, falling asleep, and special conditions in future series of presentations. A mental shell can also be useful when assisting others. An invisible helper can find it invaluable in aiding someone who is unable to protect themselves against distracting and tiring thoughts. It is likely that animals with strong emotions have a telepathic ability to send emotional signals to others of their kind from a long distance. William J. Long, in his book How Animals Talk, suggests that this silent communication could be the common language of the entire animal kingdom. The text discusses various instances of animals showing remarkable understanding and behavior. For example, a dog named Don seemed to always know when his owner was coming home, even at unexpected times. Another dog named Watch would constantly set out to meet his owner as soon as he started for home, despite the varying times. The text also mentions how fear or nervousness can be easily transferred from a rider to their horse, and how a wolf or fox mother can effectively control and communicate with their young without making a sound. Additionally, there is a mention of a wounded wolf finding its pack's kill without any visible trail to follow. A whaling captain noticed that when he harpooned a sperm whale, other sperm whales within 10 miles would also react as if they had been harpooned. Some may say this is because the whale emitted infrasound that alerted other whales. But that would not explain why they behaved as though they had been harpooned. If we acknowledge that animals have a shared mental envelope, when considering a specific species, or in the case of the whale, a unit as small as a pod, then it makes sense that an effect on the mental state of one animal would immediately transfer to the rest of the pod. The whales may be physically dispersed, but in the mental world they occupy one space. Similarly, certain wild birds show up in the backyard only when many other birds are feeding, and the synchronized flight patterns of starlings and flocks of plovers suggest telepathic communication. Many hunters have found that they can approach wild animals more easily when they are not carrying a gun or intending to kill, compared to when they are armed and hunting. One hunter, after realizing that animals can sense human excitement, managed to approach his prey more successfully by controlling his own excitement. This was confirmed by the number of tiger skins he had obtained. On the topic of tigers, my father and his brother used to go tiger hunting in India during their summer holidays. An unusual pastime, I know, but those were the days. My father had no interest in hunting, and his brother would shoot anything that moved. They split up, and the entire jungle, including tigers, would walk past my father, and my uncle spotted nothing. In his book, Long further states that he has met many Indians and others possessed of what certain Africans call chumfo. This chumfo acts as though it were a distinct sense warning of approaching danger. This happens often in circumstances that preclude the possibility of any information reaching any of the 5 normal senses. Readers interested in this subject in particular and animal life in general are strongly advised to read How Animals Talk and other books by William J. Long. In the next presentation, we will examine thought transference and mental healing. Thank you.